This film tells the story of a unicorn's revenge, a creature not the cute fairy tale animal we imagine, but one of the most savage beasts in the world. Death of a Unicorn stars Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, and Jenna Ortega. So let's dive straight into the storyline. One day, a man named Elliot and his daughter Ridley were invited to dinner at his boss's villa, hidden deep within a forest reserve. Ridley disliked the idea of meeting her father's boss, but Elliot insisted, reminding her that the family had personally asked to dine with them. Ever since his wife passed away years earlier, Elliot had only Ridley by his side. After decades of hard work, Elliot had risen to a high position in the pharmaceutical company. Now, with his boss gravely ill, he suspected this dinner might be the moment he was chosen to take over the company. He asked Ridley to be patient, believing this evening could change their lives forever. As they drove through the forest, Elliot kept sneezing from his allergies, while Ridley absent-mindedly picked at a pimple on her cheek. Then Elliot's phone rang. It was his boss's assistant, angrily scolding him for being late. The boss had already been waiting at the villa for over an hour. Nervous, Elliot pressed harder on the gas, trying to explain himself over the call. Suddenly, the car slammed into something. Both Elliot and Ridley were shaken, but unharmed. Stepping out to see what had happened, they froze in shock. Lying in the middle of the road was a unicorn, writhing in pain as thick purple blood seeped from its wounds. Elliot panics, fearing he could be arrested for hitting such a rare creature inside a protected reserve. Ridley, however, feels pity and slowly steps closer. At that moment, the unicorn's horn begins to glow. Drawn by curiosity, Ridley reaches out and touches it, and instantly she is transported into another dimension, witnessing strange visions that leave her in a trance. Elliot shouts Ridley's name, but she doesn't respond. In desperation, he grabs an iron rod and strikes the unicorn again and again until it finally stops moving. Thick purple blood splatters across both his and Ridley's faces. In short, Elliot and Ridley continued their trip to the villa. When they arrived, they were greeted by his boss's assistant, Shaw. Unknown to anyone, Elliot had hidden the unicorn's corpse inside his car. Inside the villa, Elliot met his boss, Odell, who looked pale and weak with oxygen tubes in his nose. Also present were Odell's wife, Belinda, and their son, Shepard. Still shaken by what had happened, Elliot told Ridley to wash her face. In the bathroom, Ridley rinsed off and was shocked to find that the pimple on her left cheek had completely disappeared. She realized at once that the unicorn's blood had healed it instantly. Meanwhile, Elliot, who normally wore glasses, noticed his vision was suddenly crystal clear even without them. The unicorn's blood had cured his nearsightedness. Moments later, Ridley felt dizzy. It was as if she could hear the unicorn calling to her. Confused, she immediately told her father what she was experiencing. Suddenly, a loud crash erupts from the car outside. Everyone rushes out, and to their horror, the unicorn bursts through the window, roaring as it desperately tries to escape. Shaw quickly pulls out a gun and fires, finally killing the creature. The group stands frozen in disbelief, stunned to realize they have just seen a real unicorn with their own eyes. Trying to make sense of it all, Ridley tells her father that the blood instantly healed her pimple, and Elliot admits his allergies and poor vision have also been cured. There is no denying it now. This truly was a unicorn. Ridley then suggested calling the government to report their discovery, but Odell immediately refused. He argued that the authorities would only complicate matters and might even imprison them for killing an endangered animal. Instead, Odell insisted on studying the creature himself. He ordered his men to contact the lead researcher and call the entire scientific team to the villa right away. That night, Elliot checked on Ridley, who was resting in her room. She was still furious at him for beating the unicorn with an iron rod while it was still alive.
Elliot apologized, explaining that he only acted out of fear after seeing Ridley convulsing when she touched the unicorn's horn. He insisted he was only trying to protect her. Ridley, however, explained that when she touched the horn, she saw incredible visions, but also felt an overwhelming sense of dread. She warned her father that they should never have handed the unicorn over to Odell. Elliot dismissed her worries, assuring her that everything would be fine. After he left, Ridley sat alone, looking through old photos of her late mother. In one picture, she noticed a tapestry of a unicorn they had once seen together at a museum years ago. Growing curious, she searched it online and discovered it dated back to the Middle Ages. The tapestry was divided into 7 panels, depicting a nobleman hunting a unicorn. In the story, the unicorn was shown as a ferocious beast that only a pure-hearted maiden could tame. The final panels revealed the grim ending. The unicorn was killed, brought to a castle, and resurrected inside a cage, only to massacre everyone in the end.
The next morning, Elliot and Ridley were escorted into the research chamber. After running several tests, the lead scientist, Dr. Song, explained that this creature was unlike any ordinary horse. Once again, Ridley tried to warn her father, but he ignored her concerns. During the briefing, research assistant Batia reported that the dead unicorn's horn was still emitting strange bioelectric signals, as if it were somehow still alive. Everyone was baffled. Dr. Song then revealed that he had already ground part of the horn into powder and mixed it into Odell's medication. Outraged, Ridley accused Odell of trying to exploit the unicorn's corpse for profit. Overcome with frustration, she stormed out into the forest, where she stumbled upon a massive tree covered in strange markings. Suddenly, a terrifying sound echoed through the woods, sending her into a panic and forcing her to run back toward the villa.
Elsewhere, Batia noticed that the bioelectromagnetic radiation from the unicorn's horn was growing stronger than before. Although Odell's condition had not yet fully improved after receiving the powdered horn, he thanked Elliot profusely for the discovery and even promised him royalties for his contribution. In another room, Ridley continued researching unicorns until Shepard came to see her. Curious, he asked what she was working on. Ridley explained that according to the information she had found, unicorns were dangerous creatures, and she confessed she had a bad feeling about everything that was happening. Shepard encouraged her to print out her findings so she could present them to his parents. Suddenly, everyone was stunned when Odell appeared, looking completely healthy. He no longer needed a wheelchair or even a cane to walk. After running tests, Dr. Song confirmed the unbelievable. Every trace of cancer in Odell's body had vanished. The unicorn horn powder had cured him instantly. Overcome with greed, Odell ordered Dr. Song to replicate the compounds from the horn for mass production. But Dr. Song refused, explaining that the horn's elements could not be found anywhere else. Furious, Odell nearly lost control until Belinda calmed him down. She argued that if the powder could not be replicated, it meant it was even rarer, and therefore could be sold for an extraordinarily high price. With that, Odell devised a plan to sell unicorn horn powder exclusively to the world's wealthiest terminally ill patients. Without wasting time, he and his family immediately began making calls, offering the miraculous substance to the global elite. Ridley walked in and was shocked by what she saw. Odell and his family were shamelessly exploiting the unicorn's corpse for their own profit, and to her horror, even her father was helping them calculate the money they expected to earn. Desperate to stop them, Ridley held up the printout of the unicorn tapestry. She explained that it came from a museum she had once visited with both her parents, and it depicted the savagery of unicorns. According to her, the story shown in the tapestry might not just be legend, it could very well be true. She pleaded with Odell to stop before something terrible happened. But Odell and his family dismissed her warnings outright. To make matters worse, Elliot told his daughter not to believe in meaningless fairy tales. Heartbroken, Ridley left the room and went out to sit in the car. That night, Dr. Song and Batia attempted to move the unicorn's corpse into a car. As they pushed it down the corridor, the power suddenly went out. In the darkness, Batia noticed something strange. The bioelectromagnetic signal from the unicorn's horn was spiking higher than ever. Elliot and Shepard soon arrived to check on the situation. Without warning, a sharp object pierced Dr. Song's chest, killing him instantly. Panic erupted. Elliot caught a glimpse of a monstrous shadow moving in the dark. Shaw and several guards opened fire, and to their horror, the creature revealed itself. It was another unicorn, far larger than the first. The massive beast rammed into the car where Ridley was trapped. The guards fired back as Elliot sprinted to rescue his daughter, urging her to crawl under the vehicle to hide. From beneath the car, Ridley watched in terror as the unicorn crushed a guard's skull. Overwhelmed, she bolted into a storage shed and slammed the door shut. Strangely, the unicorn did not attack her. Instead, Ridley felt as though the creature was trying to communicate with her. She reached out, ready to touch its horn, but before she could, Shaw fired his gun, scaring the beast back into the forest. When the power finally came back on, Ridley explained to the others that she felt a strange bond with the unicorn ever since she had touched its horn. Perhaps that was why the massive creature hadn't attacked her earlier. She also suspected that the larger unicorn was the mother of the slain calf, returning to reclaim its child's body. Instead of being afraid, Odell grew even more excited. To him, this was the perfect chance to capture the beast, especially since it was likely badly wounded from the earlier gunfire. Ridley begged him to stop, but Odell, blinded by greed, ignored her pleas. He ordered Elliot to join the hunt, threatening to fire him if he refused. Reluctantly, Elliot agreed. Before they set out, Batia handed Shaw a bioelectromagnetic tracker, which would allow them to trace the unicorn's location. Ridley tried once more to stop her father from going, but Elliot couldn't disobey his boss. He reassured her instead, promising that he would return safely. Odell and his men then set off into the forest to hunt the unicorn. Back at the villa, Shepard ordered Batia to saw off the dead unicorn's horn as a precaution. If they were ever forced to surrender the body, at least they would still have the horn. Curious, Shepard pocketed some of the powdered horn and once in his room, inhaled it. Almost instantly, an overwhelming rush of euphoria surged through his body. Meanwhile, in another room, Ridley remembered the tapestry she had studied. It told of unicorns rising again after death. She began to suspect that the creature might have the ability to heal itself. Desperate to warn her father, Ridley tried to send him a message, but there was no signal. Deep in the forest, Odell and his men finally spotted the unicorn they had been tracking. Cautiously, they crept closer to the beast. Back at the villa, Batia managed to saw off the horn of the dead unicorn. Meanwhile, in another room, Ridley approached Griff, asking how she could get a signal. She needed to warn her father that unicorns might be able to heal themselves. Belinda overheard Ridley's words and, panicking, offered to help her find a way to connect. Back in the forest, chaos erupted when the unicorn suddenly charged and dragged Shaw away into the darkness. Terrified, Odell fired wildly in every direction before ordering Elliot and one of the guards to stay alert. Then, in his fear, Odell abandoned them and fled. The unicorn reappeared moments later, brutally attacking the guard. Elliot, panicked, turned and ran after Odell, both of them retreating toward the villa. But the danger was far from over. The creature was chasing them, and soon it became clear there were not one, but two adult unicorns. These were the parents of the slain calf, and now they had come for vengeance. Everyone watched in horror as Odell was cornered by the two massive beasts. He tried desperately to calm them down, but one unicorn suddenly lowered its horn and impaled his neck, killing him instantly. Panic spread through the group as they scrambled back into the villa and locked the doors behind them.
Ridley and Griff planned to take the baby unicorn's body outside, But Elliot stopped them, not wanting Ridley to risk getting hurt. As Elliot tried to call the police, the power suddenly went out again, cutting off all phone signal. Determined, Ridley attempted once more to push the unicorn's corpse toward the exit. But Belinda explained that when the power went down, the villa gates had to be opened manually. Someone would need to go outside first to unlock them. Immediately, Belinda and Shepard ordered Griff to do it. Terrified, Griff refused at first, but Belinda pressured him until he agreed. Belinda then told Bhatia to carry the baby unicorn's body outside. She reassured both Griff and Bhatia not to worry. If the parent unicorns truly only wanted their calf's corpse, then they would be safe. While everyone else prepared, Shepard was preoccupied with inhaling more of the powdered horn. In his haze, he looked again at the unicorn tapestry and noticed the image of the maiden. At last, he realized the truth. According to the legend, only a pure-hearted girl could tame the unicorns.
Outside, the two massive unicorns advanced toward Bhatia as she carried the calf's corpse. Meanwhile, Griff nervously began turning the lever to open the gate. But when the unicorn parents noticed that the baby's horn had been cut off, their rage grew uncontrollable. Bhatia panicked and tried to run, but in her haste, she dropped the container of powdered horn. As she turned back to grab it, the unicorns lunged, tearing her body apart in a violent instant. Horrified, Griff fled in terror, while the others rushed back inside the villa, slamming the doors shut behind them. Ridley was confused. Why were the two giant unicorns still attacking when the calf's body had already been returned? Shepard then insisted that Ridley should be the one to face them, arguing that, according to the tapestry, only a pure-hearted maiden like her could tame the beasts. Hearing this, Elliot firmly refused. He forbade Ridley from going outside and risking her life. As the argument escalated, the unicorns suddenly broke through the villa doors, forcing Ridley and Elliot to flee upstairs while Shepard and Belinda ran into the kitchen. There, Shepard spotted a container filled with unicorn horn. Seizing the chance to distract the creatures, he and Belinda grabbed it and slipped away. Belinda then noticed several oxygen tanks and whispered that they could use them to blow up the unicorns. But when she opened the container, she froze in shock. It was empty. Someone had stolen the horn. It was then revealed that Elliot had the unicorn's horn in his possession. Ridley was furious and scolded her father for taking it. Elliot explained that he had only done so for her future. He once promised his late wife that he would do anything to ensure Ridley never lived in hardship. Apologizing, he admitted he had not always been the best father. Ridley then revealed that when she touched the horn, she had seen visions of her late mother. Before they could speak further, the unicorn slammed against the doors, trying to break in. Elliot urged Ridley to run, deciding he would stay behind and hold them off. Elsewhere in the villa, Shepard armed himself with a bow, while Belinda carried an oxygen tank, searching cautiously for the beasts. The villa seemed eerily quiet, and they began to think the unicorns had left. But suddenly, one of the creatures struck, impaling Belinda with its horn and dragging her across the floor. Wounded but still alive, Belinda opened the valve on the oxygen tank and begged her son to ignite it to burn the unicorn. Shepard lit a rag on his arrow, but when the moment came, he froze. Instead of firing, he let the unicorn tear his mother apart before his eyes. Outside, Ridley tried to escape, but was blocked by Shepard, who aimed his bow at Ridley. He forced Ridley to tame the unicorns that were hunting them. One of the beasts slowly approached, and though Ridley froze in panic, the unicorn suddenly lay down peacefully before her. To everyone's shock, Ridley truly could tame them. Shepard quickly tied down the unicorn's legs. Moments later, Elliot appeared, carrying the horn alongside the second unicorn. Strangely, this creature, too, knelt before Ridley, and Shepard wasted no time binding it as well. He then revealed his plan. He would use Ridley to breed the unicorns, promising to share the profits with her and Elliot. Disgusted, Elliot rejected the idea. In a fit of rage, he stabbed Shepard with the horn. Wounded but defiant, Shepard retaliated with an arrow. Both men collapsed. When Shepard staggered back to his feet, one of the unicorns kicked him with brutal force, killing him instantly. Ridley sobbed as her father lay dying. But then, one of the unicorns gently placed Elliot beside the slain calf and its severed horn. The two adult unicorns touched their horns together, releasing a strange glowing light. Miraculously, the baby unicorn was revived, and so was Elliot. The broken horn fused back into place. Awakening, Elliot grasped the horn and finally saw the same visions Ridley had once described. Together with the calf restored to life, the three unicorns dashed back into the forest. A short time later, Griff returned with the police. Suspicious of the chaos in the villa, they arrested Elliot and Ridley as suspects and took them away in a police car. But on the road, the three unicorns reappeared, charging after the vehicle. One seemed to communicate with Elliot and Ridley, urging them to stay low. Then, with unstoppable force, the unicorns rammed the police car, freeing the father and daughter.
And that's the end of Death of a Unicorn. The message? Don't speed through the forest. You might just hit a unicorn. Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe and follow us on social media.